Fandom, how's it going? Today we are going to be looking at the Flash Omnibus by Geoff Johns. We are going to be looking only at Volume 1 today because there are 3 volumes of it and it takes a while to read through an omnibus. So let's get to it. The Flash. The Flash is a character that is important in DC's universe because of the fact of Barry Allen. Barry Allen was a character back in the early 1980s, 1990s that sacrificed his life in the event of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And at the time, Kid Flash, who was Wally West, he kind of felt responsible and he took up the mantle and he became the Flash, which is the Flash that is currently in this run of Geoff Johns. Early 2000s, Geoff Johns was coming onto the scene and he was hungry. He wanted to write characters, he wanted to take on Teen Titans and all these other characters, and later on he would go on to redefine Green Lantern. However, I think the Flash run is really what set him off into what he does. And it's very much different from Geoff Johns of today. This is a younger Geoff Johns who, at the time, not saying he doesn't love characters, because he clearly does love them, but this was more grounded in old school bad guys versus good guys, rather than kind of the Geoff Johns now, where I think he kind of goes into more shock value that I don't really care for. So that's what you need to know about that. Overall, I think this is kind of skewing on a little bit of lying to you because of the fact that it's termed as an omnibus, whereas this one is only about 12 to 13 issues in this. So it really isn't an omnibus when you think about it, because when you think about an omnibus, you're thinking 20, 30 issues, something big like that. That's not really the case here. So it's more of an oversized hardcover, glossy paper, glued binding, things like that. And it's not bad, but I don't like them using the term omnibus, especially with what it has come to mean. But yeah, let's get on with it. Overall, the story is great. It's fun. Most of these are arcs that there's really just, well, here's an arc, that's done. Let's move on to the next arc with things that carry over here and there. But I really enjoyed this. The first little story was really cool because it involves Mirror Master and Flash getting trapped in the mirror world and he loses all his powers and everything. And it's really cool. It's really interesting what he does there. And I like the second arc also, which involves like this cult that is in love with Flash and they kind of revere him as a god. I think this is fun. It's just fun. It's fun stories, and I really think if you like The Flash and if you like what you're seeing on the Flash TV show like I do, you'll enjoy this as well. But know that this is not Barry Allen. This is Wally West. Barry Allen at the time was still dead in the DC universe. How it works with The Flash is that, and a lot of DC characters actually, the mantle has passed down. It was Jay Garrick, who was the old Flash with like the tin can hat, who I personally think is awesome. Then it was Barry Allen, Wally West, and then so on and so on and so on. It just, the mantle keeps passing down, which is what's different than Marvel characters, I think. It makes it interesting because you can have that transitional period where characters grow up, like Nightwing did, who became Batman later on, etc., etc., etc. To get into the art, I did not care for the art on the first run of this. Angel Anzueta, who was the artist for the first run, I didn't care for his anatomy. I think it's very 90s, and it's very just huge anatomy, and I just, not my style, personally. It's not terrible, but then Scott Collins later comes on in this second arc, and into the second arc, and I think it's a much better improvement. And then Ethan Van Sciver, who comes in later, who has actually partnered up with Geoff Johns later on to do art on Green Lantern and things like that. This is glue binding, like I said, and let me show you this. It's pretty cool. In the back, there are character profiles and things like that, give you more background information. Thought that was interesting. Let's take that. Overall, this is a fun read. Let me take this slipcase off. Just know that the term omnibus should be taken really lightly with this one. And I think DC heard a lot of the complaints and later on went to rectify that, because Volume 2 and 3 of this run actually are omnibus size. They're bigger and they're thicker and they all have matching spines, which I think is pretty cool. I like that a lot. Yeah. So if you take that off, you just get standard black on that. It's got the Flash Omnibus written on it, but you can't really tell with the emboss. Yeah, I'd recommend you check this out if you are a fan of The Flash. Just know that you are going to probably be spending about $40 for 12 to 13 issues. So maybe you could probably find the trades that are included in here cheaper online versus just shelling out so much for a little bit of a hardcover. And then, but if you're a completionist and you go on and get volume 2 and 3 like I had to do, then it's going to drive you nuts if you don't. So, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. I think overall, solid purchase if you're a Flash fan. So, bye.